Dalton to the end zone. It's Robinson for the touchdown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to week one of the NFL season. More importantly, welcome to week one of Out of Hibernation right here on Undefeated Sports Network. As always, I am your guy, Tarbill. I've got my guy, Ace, with me to the right. I'm not going to point because I always screw that up.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I just fucked it up again. Always.
Anyways, Ace, how we doing this morning, man?
Good, man. I mean, this is like Christmas morning, right? Football, week one, Bears game. You know, you walk downstairs and noon, and there's the opening kick, and the Bears hopefully won't piss me off before 12:30 today.
Right.
So.
I got the queso going in the crock pot. Got some sliders in the oven. Looking forward to some football food and some Bears football for sure.
Hell yeah.
Looks like in the green room we've got a guest ready to jump on with us. So familiar face. A lot of you may know him. It's been a while since we've got to connect on the air, but our guy Turtle's joining us here remotely.
Turtle looks like you ever see like those FBI shows where they're talking to people about like, oh yeah, I used to sling cocaine for the mafia, but you can't see their face and shit.
Is
What's
that
up,
better?
Turtle?
I tried to move it. Is that better?
That's better. Yeah,
that's better. What's up, bro?
Man?
How are you?
It was kind of impromptu, so I kind of was just.
No, that's cool.
The tournament got rained out, so I was at home, so I was trying to find a good spot.
Gotcha.
Man, it's
How's it
exciting,
going, man?
but I'm just ready for it to be 12, man.
For sure.
I fucking feel that.
I mean, really, you know, we saw our guy Allen. He had posted on his social media about how it's not about wins and losses. I think a lot of people have said that, including myself. But I gotta say, as the day has come, and you know, Angela, like you said, it's Christmas morning. As I come down the stairs to open my presents, I gotta say, I expect the Bears to win, and I think I won't be happy if they don't. No matter how good they play, you're playing a team that Trey Lance is making his first career start. You know, George Kittle's out. Like, there's a lot of things that are going the Bears' way. It's raining. So you're going to run the ball. Game. Like, you're going to take away the speed of Deebo Samuel and some of the 49ers with the wet field, and whether it's Bermuda grass or whatever kind of grass they decided.
Kentucky long grass.
Yeah, I mean, a little taller grass and put some rain out there, and I think it's going to make the field a little wetter and sloppy, and going to be that hard smash mouth football that really isn't the San Francisco style. Nor is it Trey Lance's style. So I think for me, it's got to be a Bears win.
I hope it is a Bears win, as we all do. I do have to say, before we came on air, I was telling Angelo here that I have a $150 bet on this game that the Bears are going to win to pay out $375. So
okay, that's a good payout. See, I thought you were going to say with your dad.
No,
because I know he's a big 49ers fan, so I thought, you know, that's where
he's going to be stopping over for the game, so I'm sure he'll be sitting here giving me shit if it does unravel against
Angelo. Did you get a new microphone?
No, it's the same thing. It's just it's my pop filter.
Oh, you know, you couldn't see the.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I don't want to like have it like here because then it's in my face. So I thought I'd just push it off to the side.
But no, I mean, I'm excited. It's the first time in a while that I've been excited to be up on a Sunday morning.
Is it fair to say this is the most excitement you've had for opening day of the Bears since 2017?
I mean, I think this is the most excited I've been for a Bears season since the year they traded for Jay Cutler.
That was what, 05?
Because I think that season came with so much optimism.
Right, because you had Cutler, a guy
You
who
had
was coming off of a
Cutler,
Pro
you had
Bowl.
Brandon Marshall, you had all those things that you were like, oh, this is stacking up to be the Bears team.
Well, I will say when
then
that trade for Jay Cutler happened, I was like 12. So
you know what, Tarbill?
It's like I was like 12.
It's been a long time since
I think I was still in high school
and
when
I
that
was
shit
just
happened.
about to say how much I've missed it, and maybe I haven't.
I was in high school. I think I was a senior in high school when that shit happened.
I mean,
Maybe
realistically,
not.
I was excited then, but now obviously being into the podcasting, keeping a little much more information relevant as to what the Bears have going on a daily basis, watching the pressers and
can I just say I really like the background we have going here.
That's right. Look at me.
Absolutely.
Fucking program director, producer,
extraordinaire.
Wait. Are you being honest or
are you like trying to mock me? I kind of understand.
You trying to like mock me?
Look at it. That was well played. But no, I mean it looks good. It's very Bears-ish. I like it. It's
hell yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do here, man. We're trying to get the fans hyped up for week 1. I mean, this is huge. This game is going to set the tone instrumentally.
You know that I like to piss everybody off. So I just have to say, like, could you imagine, like, the Bears go out there today and Fields goes, like, 5 for 18 and...
Bro, stop. Why?
I could imagine it.
And they lose, like, 35-3.
Fuck. Yo, if they lose 35-3 today, the season is going to be a fucking terrible season.
Deebo Samuel catches like an 80-yard touchdown for the first play.
Don't they play
Trey
Buffalo
Lance
this year
breaks off a 70-yard run.
Okay.
It's going to be awful.
Yeah, that's enough of that negativity.
I didn't say it was going to happen. I said, could you imagine? Like, it's just because, like we said, like Bears fans are at such a high right now that
no, I get
Bears always have a tendency to kick everybody in the nuts whenever
they really do. Like I'm trying to be like safely optimistic here because like
cautiously
I'm not gonna lie, like we did our thing when we went through the schedule, and then Madden came out and you see the schedule on the same, obviously they have the same schedule, so you see the schedule there, and then you see everybody posting it, and every time I look at the schedule, I can't help but go, man, I don't know that the Bears can have a bad season this year with this schedule. And, especially we do the podcast, as more and more people learn that we do the podcast, we go out and people ask us questions about, oh, what do you think about the Bears? Oh, what are the Bears going to do this year? And it's like, with the schedule, I don't know that they can only win 4 games. Like, I feel like they could be really bad and still win more than that.
So
it's
the
very
national narrative is very against the Bears, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think Sports Illustrated came out and said they were going to win 4 games.
I think there was a report that said 94% of people think the Bears are going to be the worst team in football.
Yeah, and
I don't know
said
how
Justin Fields is going to be like the 32nd out of 32 starting quarterbacks. Like, I saw all that, but like I just don't see how it's possible. Like, so okay, so you got San Francisco today,
right?
No George Kittle. Trey Lance is learning just like everybody else.
It's his first pro game, right?
Right. So, and it's a guy that struggled with completing, it's not like they ran an NFL offense.
Right.
Like he was one of these pocket quarterbacks. So he's learning too, and then you've got no George Kittle. They really, and we've seen before that the run game, the San Francisco run game is not the same without George Kittle because
no
teams don't have tight ends that block anymore. Or if they do, they have guys that you're not worried about them catching balls, So Kittle's one of those rare ones that does both to an elite level. So he's a guy you have to account for in every play. So now when you don't have to account for him at all, it frees up a lot of things, and look, Ryan Poles, you can say what you want. Obviously, the jury's still out. We won't know till we see these guys on the field, but I think he's done a lot of good already. He put them in a position. He put himself in a position to go get all those guys that they picked up on waivers. They claimed 6.
Right.
And most teams didn't do that, but the Bears had the money to do it. You look at a guy like Leatherwood. It's going to cost you $5 million over 3 years or over 2 years, whatever it is. They had the money to do it. You had the money to go out and get some of these guys and not need them to be instant impact. But they make your team a lot better than it looked before.
Right.
People. I've seen a lot of people come out as this line has taken shape. You've seen a lot of people come out and they blame Poles. Oh, he jumped the gun on Riley Reif. He jumped the gun on with Schofield. And it's like, but he didn't. Like, A, they had the money to do it, and B, what if? What if Tevin Jenkins never did dress? What if they didn't work that out and he never did come and become your right guard? What if Larry Borum didn't take the steps you need him to do? What if was it Braxton Jones? What if he didn't come out and do everything he did in training camp to show you, like, holy crap, this dude could play?
Right.
You needed those guys.
My thought process on it is like, there's nothing wrong with more competition at that position, right? You've had guys, and the last regime was so set on, okay, these are our guys. We're not moving off these guys. These are who we drafted, who we brought in. Mm-hmm. This is our team. Poles is different. He's like, okay, well, yeah, those are the guys, right? But why can't we bring in somebody else to
and to take it to another degree? That's what we've gotten used to in Chicago sports, right? The Bulls all those years, we used to say they sit on their assets. They wouldn't move anybody, even when there was a trade there to be made. They wouldn't give up Luol Deng. They wouldn't give up guys that really turned out to be, they're really cool dudes. Like,
they wouldn't give up Luol Deng. But I love that Luol Deng is your example there when you're talking assets.
He's right. They didn't want to move on from anybody.
Pax and Gar, they thought their guys were better than everybody else's. They just didn't put it all together. Well, they weren't better than everybody else. You saw the same thing with the Cubs. They waited so long that they wound up losing some of these guys for way less than they could have got if they had moved on from them, but they refused to move on. So it's kind of what we've got accustomed to in Chicago sports. So it's nice to see Ryan Poles come in. And the big thing is he's transparent, right? Like, he came out and he said, look, we're going to be patient with this thing. If we see somebody that we think is worth it, we're going to spend the money. If not, we're going to wait till next offseason, and we're going to have the most cap space in the NFL.
Right.
And, at the time we figured, okay, probably a good draft pick too. Now you think, okay, well, look, this team could make the playoffs. Like, you look at things that they've done, players they've put in place. You've put stuff around Justin Fields where you've got a quarterback who, look, a lot of people who have forgotten way more about football than I'll ever know are telling you, look, this kid is ready to explode. Like, he's already showing that he's taken that next step, and now he's ready to take maybe 2 steps for that year 2 leap, which is really what you're looking for, right? You saw Josh Allen, took him probably 3 or 4 years before he really turned into who he is now.
Sure.
Right.
So if you see that jump from year 1 to year 2, and now next year he's going to be going into his second year in the same offense.
In a much more favorable system, because you got to think the team,
and you're going to be able to put a lot more pieces around them. So it's like they told you what they were going to do, and then they went out and did it.
Right.
Leatherwood became available, they went and got him. Other guys became available that fit their system, they went and got them. They're not looking at this like, oh, well, if we lose a bunch of games this year and Justin gets some time in, we can have the number 1 pick and be a really good team. They're out here trying to win football games. They said, well, Leatherwood makes us better right now. Some of these guys that they claimed on waivers make us better right now. So we're going to go get them and claim them because we think they make us better today.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the mentality. I think that one thing that you alluded to was the transparency, but it's not being afraid to take an unorthodox approach, especially when you look at the offensive line. They shuffled guys around all preseason, all training camp, and weren't afraid to do it. I mean, they had Tevin Jenkins running with the 2s and 3s at one point. It's
right.
Yeah, well, and I had a debate with somebody, or not a debate, it was more of a conversation, but I had a conversation with somebody, and they were very adamant that the Bears were fools for not finding Roquan Smith. They said, well, he spit in the Bears' face. They have every right to do it. It's the same old Bears, letting people do whatever they want. And I said, I don't think that's it. I said, I think it's going to make things better later. So then they worked out, whatever it is they worked out, and he decided he was going to play ball. And they said, well, yeah, but, now he's got all the leverage. I said, yeah, but if you fine him, it's not like the Bears need the money.
Right.
Fines don't do anything for the Bears. So you've already got a volatile situation. Right. And you've already got a volatile situation where Roquan has showed you he doesn't always make the most cool-headed decisions. So rather than find a guy who's already pissed off and feels like you disrespect him, even if you didn't, he feels that you did. So if he feels that way, why would you fine him and then piss him off even more? Maybe you don't get that deal done. Maybe he doesn't play today.
Right.
So now you didn't find him, and look, now he's here. He's ready to go. He's been in the building for a few weeks. Like, you've almost forgot that he even held out. You know,
Exactly.
Where before that's all you could talk about was, oh my God, they can't even get it right with Roquan Smith. So I think the big takeaway for me from this whole process so far in the offseason has been to give them the benefit of the doubt. Give this new coaching staff, give Ryan Poles the benefit of the doubt. Even if something happens where it doesn't make sense to us, like the whole Ogunjobi thing. I know he took a lot of heat for that, and Tarbill, we talked it on one of our shows or a couple of our shows. You didn't see anybody else run out to go get him. You didn't see other teams like, oh well, the Bears didn't sign him, so we're signing him. Like, you saw that long delay, and now you don't even see if he's going to play or not. So I want Bears fans in general to give this regime the benefit of the doubt that maybe Ryan Poles really is the right guy. Maybe he does know what he's doing. Maybe Eberflus does know what he's doing, even though these are guys who haven't held those positions before, and we're not used to it working out that way here in Chicago. I think that might be a sign of things are different and going to be done differently here.
So I agree for sure. I did see something interesting the other day on Twitter that obviously Millhouse, Ted Phillips, has announced his departure from the team at the end of the season. He looks like Millhouse.
He does. He does.
You know he does.
He does.
But with that being said, Ted Phillips is moving on from the organization at the end of the season. The Bears are one of few teams,
which I did call, by the way.
You did. Give credit where it's due. You did. The Bears are moving on from Ted Phillips. He's retiring, whatever you want to call it. Is there the possibility that Ryan Poles steps into that position and then Ian Cunningham transitions to the GM rather than assistant GM?
So I honestly – sorry, Angela, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's cool.
I honestly don't see any other option, because I've heard the whole Peyton Manning, Bill Polian, all these guys, these football guys. And I just throw Polian's name out there as an example. I haven't actually heard his name being considered.
Right.
You hear all these football guys, and they say, well, they could bring them in as a president. I think at this point, Ryan Poles has done so many things right, momentum-wise, that I feel like if you brought somebody in above him, at this point, you're just kind of stopping that momentum. I think at this point, especially because they don't really so Ted Phillips is just really has the title. He doesn't do anything football. They even said when Ryan Pace was here, well, Ryan really runs football for us.
Ryan and Matt are our football guys.
Right. So
They still are.
I think Ryan Poles is already doing that job as your president of football operations. I think he's already right. He just has the title of GM. So because he has that, I think it would just be one of those where it's almost like, well, it's going to cover. Well, we don't trust you to run everything, so we're going to bring somebody in to hold your hand. At this point, he's got the keys. Like this thing is going to run as far as he takes it. He's he's got the reins and he's got his hand in everything that is involved football. And you're going to see this year, as long as that relationship between him and Coach Eberflus works, why risk it? Like, why? You've already got the people here doing the jobs. All you're really doing is changing the titles at this point.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I think that realistically, if they move Poles up to the president of football operations role, obviously Ian Cunningham's been vocal with some of the picks and the selections they've made in free agency. Ryan Poles has consulted him. So I think you've got a good team there, and you've got a guy in Matt Eberflus who really buys into this system and buys into what Poles is trying to build and develop. So as you said, I think if you add another layer to it that's unnecessary, it almost gets messy and it just portrays the wrong image that, hey, we gave you the keys to the kingdom last season.
Right. Now we're going to bring somebody
this
in
year,
to kind
we're
of
going to
oversee.
bring in 85-year-old Bill Polian to oversee.
Right. Poles is already comfortable in this role of making these decisions. I think he's got a good grasp on the direction that he wants his football team to go. I think he's got a grasp on how he wants this football team to look on the field. Why shuffle shit up when you don't have to?
Right. Well, and I think, like you said, Angela, I think he's come in quickly and shown not only does he have a vision for what he wants his team to look like, but they know how to get there.
Right.
Like, we as Bears fans, we've heard year after year after year. Well, we know where we want to be, right? But you don't know how to get there.
But how do you get there?
So, like now, I feel like with Ryan Poles, I feel like he has a vision. Like Angela said, he has a vision for what this team is going to look like as a whole, not just on the field, but what this roster is going to look like, what the overall mentality of certain positions are going to be. And he came out and told you, right? Like he came out and said, look, our offensive line is going to be nasty. We want guys who are looking to rip people's heads off. Yep. We want guys that are going to protect Justin Fields, whether that means after the whistle or during the whistle. We want him protected. So we saw certain things, and you see the team start to take that shape. So we've already seen like he knows where they're trying to go, and now he has a good idea of how to get there, and he's already along that route. So like you said, I think if you bring somebody in now, all you're doing is shuffling things for no reason.
Right.
And I saw our guy Allen said that, he agrees about the Roquan thing to a point, but you have to do business. I think there's a way to do that without finding him. Like we don't know what conversations took place. And for all we know, that could have been a Ryan Poles, Roquan Smith conversation where he said, look, man, I gave you a pass. I gave you a pass on finding you because I don't think it helps this team.
Right.
But I need you to be here and I need you to be a part of this team. And he's a captain, right? Like we all knew he was going to be a captain. Like in all essence, this defense, when you think of the Colts defense that Matt Eberflus put together, the first player you think of is Darius Leonard or whatever his first name is. Shaq Leonard, yeah. But, that's the first guy you think of. You see him all over the field making plays, whether it's rushing the passer, him picking off the ball in pass coverage, playing downhill against the run. Like, he makes that defense work. He makes everybody else's job easier. And you see when the defense does stuff like that, you saw a guy like Stephon Gilmore go to Indianapolis where you didn't think that was probably where he was going to go. And he went because corners really produce in that system.
Right.
So now you take a guy like that and what was the point? There's no point to go out and parade Roquan in front of the town and be like, well, we have this guy by the balls and we're going to show you we do. It's a whole separate conversation. You tell them behind closed doors. I think we've all been there before where whatever line of work we work in, where there's a conversation had in private where you say, look, you got nothing. I got you by the balls and you can't do anything about it. Don't make me show everybody I have you by the balls. Like, right? Like if you have to tell everybody that you're in charge, you're not really in charge.
Right.
So I just thought it was a very good way to, I'm new to the team. I don't want to piss off our defensive captain. Like, in my opinion, I'm just interested to see what you two think about it.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I mean, I do understand to Alan's point in the comments, you don't want to give the player the upper hand in negotiations, but at the same time, as you said, you can do it in a separate way without upsetting or disrespecting a key pivotal piece to your team.
Especially when Roquan was doing everything to show everybody he didn't have leverage himself.
Right.
So I think it was a good call that they didn't fine him. The only thing that kind of still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, so to speak, is the Twitter post that Roquan came out with, and the way that he handled the negotiations on his part were very poorly, in my opinion. I think that, he should have had closed door conversations with Poles and the team prior to that and told them, hey, we're way farther away from a deal than what you think we are.
Well, then that's twice now too.
Go ahead.
Right? Like that's twice now that he's done that. The first time was when he got drafted. I'm going to hold out because I don't like the wording on the contract of, if I'm suspended or something that I don't get paid, pay and stuff like that. And he held out for, they wound up caving and giving him what he wanted. And he was one of the lone guys that did that. So now this time around, he did the same thing and he took to Twitter and they said, well, that's great, but this is what's here. Right. You can play on it, or you can hold out and not make any money.
Well, and that was the thing. The way that Poles approached it, he came out very publicly, did the presser, said, we thought that we gave him a very competitive deal, one of the best deals for a linebacker in certain categories. The rumor is it was around 18 to 19 million a year. Right. And I think that that's more than fair money for Roquan. We've touched on that previously, and I don't want to make that a stale point today as we move forward and talk about what's going to happen on the field. But I think the situation was handled poorly by Roquan, and I like the way that Poles stood his ground and didn't just cave and say, okay, we're going to give you $22 million a year. Because you know for a fact that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy would have made that deal happen for him.
I don't think it would have got to that point with those two.
Right. They would have caved in way sooner. Right. They would have been like, oh, it takes $22 million. Cool, that's what we'll give you. Yep. No, we'll give you 23.
Probably. So looking forward, Angelo, we got a new segment to debut on the show this morning. You want to jump into that?
Yeah, man. Hold on. We got a video for it too.
All right, everybody. So making its debut here on the Out of Hibernation pod week 1, we have our bare bones segment. This is a new segment that we're going to do each and every week where we talk 3 keys to victory that we believe will be instrumental to the Bears' success on the field each and every Sunday. So with that being said, our guy Ace, I believe, has the first point that he wants to drill home. And let's talk.
All right. It. So do you want to go from third to first or first?
Yes,
to third?
that's
Let's
right.
go third to first.
All right. Our number 3 is the secondary needs to hold their own today. Now you got a young secondary out there. Eddie Jackson hasn't looked good the last few seasons. I think it's pivotal that they make some noise today. I wouldn't be surprised if with all the practicing of like the peanut punch and shit, you had Charles Tillman come in. I wouldn't be surprised if you see an aggressive, get the ball out of their hands, opportunistic defense today. And that's what I think the Bears need to limit the damage that, you know, like a guy like Moore can do when he's on the field. What are your guys' thoughts?
Oh, I totally agree. I think that both Brisker and Gordon need to play at a high level. And also, as you said, Eddie Jackson needs to allude to the 2018-ish Eddie Jackson, 2017 right. Eddie Jackson. I mean, you guys all know that I'm an Alabama fan. Roll Tide.
Don't.
Loved watching Eddie Jackson
after this week's game.
Always.
Loved watching Eddie Jackson play in college, but just that ball hawk mentality that he had when he came out of the greatest college football program into the NFL. And, you know, the first few seasons that he was with the Chicago Bears, ultimately, that's what he did. He was a ball hawk type player, managed to get a lot of swats, a lot of deflections and interceptions. And that's what we want to see out of Eddie Jackson this year is primetime Eddie Jackson. And I believe they've put him in a position with the players around him to do so. If this young secondary plays up to their potential, they could be a top 7 secondary in the league this year, I'll say.
Vince?
So just to kind of piggyback on what Tarbill said, I think the big – oh, my God.
Come on.
Awful. Yeah, he did really good for the Dolphins. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think if the Bears do what I think they're going to do on the field, I see them being a top 5 defense. I think the secondary has a chance to be one of the best in the NFL. We saw 2 big holes from last year filled with impact day 1 starters. Kyler Gordon is going to take that other corner spot opposite Jalen Johnson. You know, you had Jalen Johnson kind of found the best receiver around, but there was nobody to cover the second receiver. And unfortunately, the NFL today, everybody's got receivers that can catch the ball. And then after they catch the ball, it's bringing them down, right? So I think you address that by going out and getting Brisker, who he's going to step in and he's going to take that downhill, take your head off, better keep your head on a swivel type play. That's going to allow Eddie Jackson, who I think I'm going to go out and on a prediction here. I think Eddie Jackson is going to have a takeaway today. I think defense in general is going to have, I'm going to say 2, maybe 3 takeaways.
Wow. Okay.
I think the Bears are going to win this one convincingly by the defense. I think Trey Lance is going to struggle against the secondary. It's wet out. The ball's going to be slippery. He's not going to. The thing about the Bears, even when they were just okay on offense, they always play the run, right? You never really see anybody just run all over them minus a few wild cards. But I think this defense and the players they have, I think are ready. I think Roquan is going to have a big year because despite all the other stuff, he does know this is his year to make it or break it for that next contract. So I think he's going to have a big year, and I think he's going to produce in this system. We've seen Coach Eberflus's Colts defenses really do well with mediocre at best corners. Right. So now you've got a guy in Jalen Johnson who a lot feel like he's really on that cusp of being a superstar. And you've got a young rookie in Gordon who you think is really going to take that other spot and help shut that down. So now if you can't, if you've got that good coverage at corner and now you've addressed the issue in downhill safeties with Brisker, who it's good to see that even despite the injury, he'll be back. He's ready to roll. I think it just really helps this defense find its form, with a lot better players than we saw in Indianapolis. And, that's where the coaching comes in. I think for the first time, we're confident that the defense is going to, have that coaching. And you see the defensive coordinator was with the Colts as well. The secondary coach was with the Colts. So I think there's a lot of familiarity there. So now it's just you've got guys that are, like you said, are put around Eddie Jackson to help him. And he's really the key back there because if you look, like you said, in 2018, he was the difference, right? He was picking the ball off. He was causing fumbles. He was able to fly around and just do what he does. And that's a playmaker. Right. He doesn't have to be that. And we saw him last year. He gets a really bad rap, but we saw last year he did, he was up there in the top of the list with the Bears in tackles last year. So, I think it was just something that shows like he's willing to do what he needs to do. And I think that secondary takes a big step today towards doing that.
All right. Number 2, I have not be afraid to throw the ball. The weather's going to be shit out there. New turf. New turf.
Is it turf or is it grass?
It's not
it's
turf.
grass.
It's
all right, new surface,
grass.
new playing
surface. Bermuda grass.
Bermuda grass.
Asked for specifically by Coach Eberflus.
Yes. Now, I think the Bears have to be willing to take the opportunity when they see it to throw the ball downfield, not be afraid. We watched last couple seasons where sometimes they force the ball. I think they have to pick and choose the right time to take the top off. What do you guys think?
I agree 100%. I think that as we saw in the last preseason game, Justin Fields has that deep ball accuracy. We saw flashes of it last year, and I think they need to implement those shot plays, and I think they will. So ultimately, today I think you see, I'm going to say five big shot plays of 25 yards plus passes downfield, and I think you see a lot of those on first downs. They come up to the line, act like they're going to run a boot, and it's a 30 or so yard pass downfield to none other than Darnell Mooney or Cole Kmet. Maybe you're going to a guy like Pringle. Is Pringle playing today?
I think so, yes.
He is. Velus Jones is out today, though.
Correct.
So
yep.
That's a major factor there with the speed game for sure. Velus obviously was quick on the punt returns, and he's known for having that speed. So like to see him out there today. But I think you see those big shot plays, and I think ultimately that it pays off. I think you catch them off guard on a couple and move the ball downfield significantly and convert and score some touchdowns. That's ultimately what we need to see today, is the ability to score touchdowns fluently, and it doesn't look like it's forced or an anomaly. We need this team to be able to score touchdowns and it be more of the norm, which it hasn't been over the last few years. I mean, Cairo Santos, tremendous field goal kicker, but I'm tired of seeing the man kick a field goal every drive that he's out there.
Yeah,
what do you think, Vince?
I think you're right on point. I think you're going to see a lot of those bootlegs. I think they're going to establish the run early, and then they're going to get the play action going. We spoke earlier about the young San Francisco secondary. This defense is not what it used to be. They're definitely still dangerous up front, but they're kind of vulnerable at times on the back end. I think there's going to be opportunities to make plays. And I think we've seen throughout the preseason that when they do push the ball, they've been pretty successful at it. And I think a lot of that, comes with confidence that Luke Getsy, as an offensive coordinator, knows what he's doing. Obviously, I'm not going to come on here and tell you that he was 100% the reason that Green Bay had success. Obviously, it helps when you've got a Hall of Fame quarterback back there
doing things. They have a Hall of Fame quarterback up there in Green Bay?
Back there doing things he does. But, I think a lot of that was the offense. I think a lot of it was putting things, you want to call plays that have a high success rate or a high probability of being successful, rather than what we've been used to here the last couple of years, where I felt like they were just pulling something out of a hat and going, well, this is what we're running this play.
Matt Nagy was always that kid with the blocks trying to fit the square peg into the round hole.
I just want to, we like to say on Turtle's Take and, on all the shows here on Undefeated, we like to say, make it make sense, right? Like, that's the big thing. We just want to see it. We want it to make sense. Like, we want them to call plays that we look at and go, well, maybe it didn't work, but I like that play call. Not, the hell did you call that for?
Your running back busts a 23-yard run.
Right. So I think you're going to see opportunities where they hit them with the play action, bootlegs, and I think you're going to see it on second downs as well, too, that are normally running downs. I think you're going to try to see them go deep, especially take advantage of, a young secondary on a field that you don't expect to throw the ball around. I think we saw Darnell Mooney, and I know he's a young kid and he doesn't always know what to say and what not to say, but, we saw him come out and say, like, look, I can't even explain to you in words how vanilla our offense was in preseason. And, everybody knows what the offense is going to look like. We've seen it in Green Bay. Like, there's going to be a lot of vertical passing. There's going to be, obviously, again, it comes down to the quarterback and the offensive line, but Luke Getsy has shown as a play caller, he likes to go vertical. He likes to throw the ball down the field and take advantage of man-to-man situations. And it's funny because it sounds so simple, right? Like, we see other NFL teams do it every week. Oh, well, every time Darnell Mooney is in man-to-man coverage, I'm going to throw him the ball. We see it with Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill and all sorts of different receivers. We see that every time they're in man-to-man, the ball is thrown to them, or they're at least looked at for, whether that was the call or not. So I think we're going to see that. I really think we're going to see a different Bears offense. I really do.
Looking forward to it. Moving on to number one.
Number one.
Do we have a drum roll?
No, I wish.
I
I have Jay Cutler asking if you're mocking me, but that's the only one I have right now.
You don't have the more buys than highs?
No, I'm working on getting a few more little clips in there.
I like that one.
Cutler. So the Bears, number one, I have control the time of possession. Last year, Elijah Moore ran for 137 yards against this Bears team, and that was with guys like I don't know if Hicks was playing. I think Mack was already injured, but still, 137 yards. That's a lot. And if the Bears have a shot at winning this game, they have to make sure that they hold the ball more than the 49ers so that they have better opportunity to, put up points.
I think you meant.
I
to
meant
say
Mitchell. Sorry,
Mitchell,
that's my
but,
bad. Sorry.
Yes.
You said
No,
that earlier too, and I was like, "Who the
Yep.
hell is Moore on San Francisco?"
That's my bad.
Anyways, no, agreeing with you slightly there, Angelo. I do think that last year, as you said, 137 yards rushing by one guy is too much. I think the defense will probably do better today, but it does come down to time of possession, right? And this keys into all the things that we were talking about, how we see the offense playing today. So if the offense starts with the run, develops the play action, they're not afraid to take some shots, they have long, sustainable drives, that is inevitably going to limit the time of possession that San Francisco has. The less time that they have the ball on offense, the more time the Bears do, obviously, which is going to lead to more points by the Bears if they can convert. I mean, either way, we need to have long, sustained drives, but if you're looking at, a 7 or 8 minute drive and it ends in a field goal, you're still taking time of possession away from the other team.
Now,
I want to see this team score touchdowns, but ultimately it's about controlling the ball. And then on defense, as Vince alluded to, if we get a turnover or two, maybe even, I think he said 3 are possible. If we're getting those turnovers, that's going to lead to more time of possession. And ultimately that's how good teams win games, right? You see teams like Green Bay often get to halftime and their opponent has like 5 minutes time of possession and they have the rest from the first half.
right.
That's how you win football games. And I think that this team's going to go out and do that. I just don't want to see them go out and 3 and out here, 3 and out there is going to put the Bears in a bad position today. So they need to control that clock.
So, boys, if you guys have your Twitter at hand, I would go check out Jason Leisure's Twitter right now and take a look at just how great the field looks.
You
Does
being
it look
sarcastic?
spectacular?
No, it looks awful. Our boy Greg Braggs has a picture up there of like just an obnoxious amount of water being squeegeed off the field.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like,
oh boy.
it's brand new, right? Like they just
Right.
put it down, and now you've got all this rain. That Soldier Field is known to hold the water. I did just get an update on one of
Yeah,
my
that looks
fantasy
horrible.
apps that the rookie running back Tyree and Davis Price is a healthy scratch today for San Francisco. So that was kind of a surprise. That was the kid they really liked that they wound up keeping, and they cut last year's second-round pick, Trey Sermon. They released him in the preseason when they had to get down to 53. They cut Trey Sermon,
Right.
and he then went on to Philly. But so everyone thought he would have a part of this offense, but he's a healthy scratch here. Week 1 against our Bears, and I think, to kind of bring all this in back towards what Angelo said is number 1, I think you're going to see a lot of David Montgomery. You're going to see a lot of Khalil Herbert. I think they like Tristan Ebner for certain packages. I think we're going to see them all today. And I think San Francisco, like I said at the beginning of the show, without George Kittle, I think he's key to what they do in the run game. So without him being there today, I think they're going to struggle to open holes for their running backs. Elijah Mitchell is dynamic when he can stay on the field, which he's had a hard time doing that throughout his career.
Right.
Jeff Wilson, same thing. So it'll be interesting to see what the run game looks like. Obviously, you have to worry about Trey Lance. But the Bears defense should be pretty used to it because they see Justin Fields every day in practice.
Right.
So I think you're right on with the run game and control the clock. Especially for a team that likes to run the ball in San Francisco, if you can get up on them, it'll be hard for them to come back when they like to run the ball, especially if you're controlling the clock and they're controlling the clock against themselves without meaning to.
Right.
I think the other option here is, they've said they're not going to use Deebo Samuel like they've used him in the past. It'd be interesting to see how many carries he gets today. If he winds up, it's always one thing to say in contract negotiations and everything else, oh, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this.
Right.
And then you get to the game and you're like, fuck it, give Deebo the ball. Have him run the ball.
Right.
So it'll be, a great option, obviously, for both teams. I think you're going to see a lot of, with the quarterbacks being able to run, I think, and both teams liking to run the ball, I think you're going to see a very fast-paced game because you're not going to have all the incomplete passes and clock stoppages.
Yeah, I'm just worried at this point after seeing that that field, man. I'm a little worried about injuries, especially guys like Justin Fields, who likes to, take off and run a little bit and hasn't done the best at getting down in time. It
He's
looks
had a
like,
lot of bad late hits against him too.
yeah, that is true. And if the Bears can get out of this game healthy, I'll consider it a win. Seriously.
All right, yeah, the field does look horrible. I will agree with that.
But that's good, right? Like San Francisco's biggest thing is
Hopefully
their
they can take
speed,
it to their advantage.
and now
right?
you take away their speed by a really crappy field.
We'll see what happens there. To wrap the show up, though, boys, we got to end with our predictions for today. So let's go round table. Give me a score. Vince, we'll start with you. What's the final score today in Chicago?
I think the final score is going to be 31-10 Bears.
31-10.
I think
Bold prediction.
you're going to see Justin Fields with 3 touchdown passes, and you're going to see at least 1 rushing touchdown, or maybe 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown for Fields, and then another one from, Herbert or Montgomery or somebody, and then there's going to be a field goal in there. And I think San Francisco is going to struggle. I think Trey Lance is going to struggle to find his groove in, not great conditions for a mobile quarterback who struggles at times throwing the ball.
Right.
The whole freak athlete thing is awesome when you're playing in perfect conditions, and you're doing it again, he's going to see, and obviously it goes for every quarterback, but the best defense he's going to see of his whole career is going to be today. That so far of his whole playing career is going to be today.
Right.
And a lot of guys that go to big time programs, they at least have that. Okay, well, I went against these guys. It's close. Like, these guys are still a lot better here in the NFL, but he played against really, really bad teams because he was at a small program. And he also didn't play a lot of games either. So I just think I don't see him coming out and lighting it up today. I think he's going to struggle. I think the field and the weather is going to be even harder for him. And I cannot state it enough. To me anyways, I think the biggest piece of this whole game is that George Kittle's out.
I agree.
Absolutely agreed there. Angelo, what do you got?
So I have it 24-17. I think Fields in
Bears?
the offense. Yeah, Bears. I think the Fields in the offense put up 2 touchdowns, but sloppy conditions early on in the game, I think, is going to lend to more field goals than touchdowns. I think you'll see more touchdowns after halftime once the team has had a chance to adjust to the playing surface. I agree with Turtle. I think Trey Lance is going to struggle. It's his first start. That's why I think the Bears were going to win this even before Kittle was officially out, but I think that this is a good opportunity for Eberflus to build a little bit of confidence with the fan base and with the team, and I'm hoping to see something good out of Justin today.
With the way the field conditions are looking, I'm a little skeptical to say it's going to be a high-scoring game. My gut feeling after seeing what Twitter just showed with the field conditions, I'm going to say 17-10.
Oh, God, I hope not. That's
Bears.
going to be such a boring freaking game to watch.
I think the Bears are going to be
if it's a 17-10 game, I'll be watching Red Zone.
I think the Bears
I'll
are
probably
going
be
to
taking a nap.
A little conservative with Justin, unfortunately, because of the weather conditions. And I don't know. 17's maybe a little conservative. Let's go 21-10. I think the Bears can get 3 touchdowns.
I like
today.
it.
No field goals today?
No, it's only
No field goals. It's all about touchdowns.
47-0. No punts, no field goals,
47-0.
nothing.
But no, I mean, I think you know what you just brought up a really good point, Angelo, that I meant to comment earlier when you were talking about controlling the clock. I think a big piece of this game too is going to be the rookie punter, Gill. He could be. We've seen teams before who have punters that can control the game. I think he's going to do a good job at limiting the starting field position that the 49ers have. And I think that as a running team, that's also going to kind of hamper them from really getting going today. I just think they really struggled to get going today.
Fair enough. I like it. Hey, all three of us are predicting a Bears win.
That's right.
That's
However it
good.
happens, I don't care.
We may
Right.
not have the same predictions next week against Green Bay, but we'll see.
I'll let you know that
I'll
after
I'll never pick Green Bay over any ever.
Right.
So.
But exactly. No, but with that being said, guys, I think it's about time for us to wrap up. Let everybody go get ready for the game. In
Yes,
38
sir.
minutes, we will be seeing Bears football for the first time this season. It's a tremendous feeling, like a kid on Christmas. Nothing's
I think I might go up to Green Bay and sit at the new sports book they got up there and just enjoy.
Nothing's more beautiful than Bears football, aside from the birth of your children. I mean, they're right up there.
They're pretty fun. They're pretty even.
With that being said, guys, it's opening day. Let's get off of here. Let's enjoy it. Spend some time with the families, eat some good food, maybe have a couple cocktails, watch the Bears game, relax. We will be right back here next week at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time.
And I will be on Twitter today throughout the Bears game, giving my thoughts and
absolutely
any debates / conversations that any fans out there would like to partake in.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Be sure to go give all of us a follow on Twitter. I'm the only
But especially
one
me, because I need followers.
but
so
Vince
right
does
there.
need some followers.
Wait,
so.
hold on. Wait.
Right. Oh, right.
There it is. Right there.
There we go. All right, guys. It's been fun. Look forward to the game, and we will see you guys next week. Same time. Have a good night, or have a good afternoon, everybody.
Have a good afternoon.